You wake up and you already feel exhausted, even before the day begins. You scroll your phone for hours, not because you're enjoying it, but because you can't make yourself move. You call yourself lazy. You feel guilty for not doing enough. You wonder why you can't get it together. You think something is wrong with you. But what if you're not lazy at all? What if you're just spiritually starving? Carl Jung believed that when we feel disconnected from meaning, our soul begins to shut down, not because it's broken, but because it's been ignored for too long. You don't lack discipline. You lack direction. You don't lack motivation. You lack purpose. This isn't a problem of effort. It's a problem of alignment. You might be working hard every day and still feel like you're going nowhere because nothing you're doing feels real to you. You're following someone else's path, living by someone else's rules, fitting into roles that were never yours. No wonder you're tired. The soul does not get energized by productivity. It gets energized by meaning. And meaning is what most of us have lost. We were told to go to school, get a job, follow the plan, check the boxes, earn the praise, but no one taught us how to listen to ourselves. No one taught us how to trust our own voice. No one taught us how to feel our way through life. So we grow up and feel disconnected from our work, from our relationships, from our own bodies. We live on autopilot and call it adulthood. Then one day we wake up and nothing feels right. Everything feels heavy. Nothing feels worth it, and we blame ourselves. We tell ourselves we're just lazy. But your body isn't broken. Your energy isn't gone. It's just buried under years of pretending. Years of saying yes when you meant no. Years of hiding your real feelings. Carl Jung said, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parents." But many of us carry more than that. We carry society's unlived dreams, expectations, demands, and we lose touch with who we really are. That is not laziness. That is a quiet kind of grief. There's a woman named Sarah. For 10 years she worked in finance. She was praised for being reliable, productive, sharp, but she felt empty. Every promotion made her more numb. Every success felt like a performance. One day she quit without a plan. Everyone said she was irresponsible. She thought she had lost her mind. But then something strange happened. She started painting again. Something she hadn't done since she was 16. She painted every day. Not for money. Not for recognition. Just because it made her feel alive. And slowly, her energy came back. Her sleep improved. Her anxiety faded. Not because she tried harder, but because she stopped lying to herself. She wasn't lazy. She was just disconnected from her soul. And that's what many of us are. We don't need more effort. We need more truth. We need to ask, what do I actually want? What brings me peace? What feels real? Those answers won't come from a productivity app or a self-help video. They come from silence, stillness, and honest reflection. Try this next time you feel tired. Instead of forcing yourself to push through, pause. What am I avoiding? What part of me feels unseen? What am I pretending not to know? Sometimes the answer is surprising. Sometimes the answer hurts. But the answer always leads you back to yourself. Jung believed that symptoms like exhaustion or lack of motivation are not failures. They are messages. They are signals that the psyche is off balance. You are not broken. You are being redirected. Imagine your soul as a compass. It can't shout, but it can pull. And sometimes that pull feels like sadness, or disinterest, or fatigue. It's trying to say, this is not your path. There is something more. But to hear it, you have to stop. You have to get quiet. You have to be willing to let go of what doesn't fit. That's not weakness. That's courage. Because listening to your soul might mean disappointing others, might mean starting over, might mean walking away. But the alternative is living a life that slowly kills your spirit and calling it success. So the next time you feel like you can't move, don't ask what's wrong with you. Ask what needs to change. The next time you feel numb, don't shame yourself. Get curious. The next time you want to quit, maybe it's not about giving up. Maybe it's about letting go. You are not lazy. You are in a deep process of realignment. You are shedding a life that no longer fits and giving birth to the one that does. That takes energy. That takes time. That takes grace. So be gentle with yourself. You are not falling behind. You are being asked to go deeper. Not faster. Not harder. But deeper. You are not lazy. You are waking up. And that is the beginning of everything. We grow up being taught to be useful, to do more, to stay busy, to always be productive. We learn to measure our worth in tasks, in deadlines, in how much we can check off a list. The busier we are, the more valuable we feel. And when we slow down, we feel guilty. When we rest, we feel worthless, because deep down, we've tied our identity to how much we produce. Carl Jung warned about this. He called it identification with the persona. The persona is the mask we wear, the version of ourselves we show to the world. Polished, controlled, acceptable. For many of us, that mask is the achiever. We've built our lives around being productive, being reliable, being the one who always gets things done. And at first, it works. We succeed. We're praised. We're promoted. But slowly, something starts to feel off. We begin to feel tired, empty, disconnected. Not because we're doing too little, but because we're doing too much of what doesn't matter. That's the trap. Productivity becomes an addiction, a distraction from deeper questions. Who am I without all the doing? What do I actually care about? What kind of life feels meaningful to me? But we don't ask, because asking means slowing down. And slowing down feels dangerous. It threatens the mask we've built. It threatens the identity that says, if I'm not producing, I'm not worthy. But that's a lie. You are not a machine. You are not here to perform. You are not here to constantly prove your value. You are a soul. You are a psyche. And you are allowed to pause. There's a story of Daniel, a man who built a successful career in tech. He worked 70-hour weeks. He made good money. He was respected. But at night, he couldn't sleep. He felt restless. He started having panic attacks. He didn't understand why. He was doing everything right. Right career, right schedule, right goals. But something in him had gone silent. He finally took a sabbatical. He stopped working. He started therapy. And for the first time in his life, he asked himself what he wanted. Not what he should do, not what looked impressive, but what he actually wanted. It terrified him, because he realized he didn't know. He had spent so long doing. He had forgotten how to be. Jung believed that when we over-identify with a role, we disconnect from the rest of the psyche. The more we cling to being productive, the more we suppress the parts of ourselves that feel, that question, that dream. And those parts don't go away. They go underground, and they start to rebel. That rebellion shows up as burnout, as fatigue, as anxiety, as apathy. You think you're tired from working too much, but often you're tired from working too long against your soul. That's why no amount of rest seems to help, because rest alone doesn't fix spiritual misalignment. What you need is meaning, not more hustle, not better time management, but realignment with your inner truth. Ask yourself, am I productive? Or am I just busy? Is what I do feeding my soul? Or just feeding my fear? Sometimes we stay busy, not because we love the work, but because we're afraid of what silence will reveal. And yet, that silence is exactly where your answers live. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Productivity can become a mask, a way to avoid that confrontation. It becomes a wall between you and your deeper self. But the wall isn't permanent. You can choose to take it down. It starts with awareness, noticing when you're doing for approval, instead of doing from alignment. It continues with courage, letting yourself explore what you've been avoiding, asking what parts of you have been silenced by the need to always perform. And it deepens with compassion, letting yourself be a full human, not just a worker, not just a role, but a soul in search of truth. Try this. Next time you feel like you should be doing something, pause. Is this coming from pressure or from presence? Are you moving from fear or from love? Are you chasing validation or choosing meaning? Those questions are the start of your freedom. You are not here to be efficient. You are here to be whole. You are not here to be productive every moment. You are here to be awake, to be alive, to be connected. True productivity is not about speed. It's about intention. It's not how much you do, but how true you feel while doing it. So the next time you feel guilty for resting, remind yourself, you are not a machine. You are a soul, going through a journey, and that journey deserves space, stillness, and meaning, not just output. You are not falling behind. You are waking up, and that is the most important work you will ever do. You set the alarm. You make the to-do list. You promise yourself you'll finally get it done, and yet, you don't. You stare at the screen. You scroll. You feel heavy, distracted, ashamed. Why can't you just do it? Why does everything feel so hard? You call it procrastination. You call it laziness. But what if it's not that? What if it's your soul, refusing to move under pressure? Carl Jung believed the psyche is not mechanical. It doesn't respond to force. It doesn't obey commands. The soul resists when it's disconnected from meaning. It freezes when it's treated like a machine. And yet, that's exactly how we treat ourselves. We push, we guilt, we punish. We try to force ourselves into productivity. But the more we push, the more we freeze. Because deep down, we are not unmotivated. We are unaligned. Jung said, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. So ask yourself, why are you trying to do this task? Why are you chasing this goal? Is it because you want to, or because you feel you have to? Is it coming from inspiration or fear? Because the soul knows the difference. You can't trick your inner world. You can't force your way into purpose. You have to feel your way into it. Take Maya for example, a young writer, talented, disciplined, determined. She had a book deal, a deadline, a dream. But every time she sat down to write, her mind went blank. She blamed herself. She got angry. She cried. She thought, why can't I do what I love? But after months of struggle, she realized something. She wasn't writing from her soul. She was writing what she thought would sell, what her agent wanted, what the market wanted. Her creativity had shut down because it had no freedom. The pressure to perform had suffocated her inner voice, so she stopped. She let herself write messy things, ugly things, unfinished things. She followed her curiosity, not her calendar. And slowly, the voice came back, not because she forced it, but because she made space for it. Jung believed that the unconscious needs space, time, stillness. It doesn't answer to urgency. It answers to honesty. So if your energy feels stuck, if your focus is gone, if everything feels like too much, stop asking, what's wrong with me? Start asking, what's missing from this? Is it connection? Is it purpose? Is it freedom? Because motivation doesn't come from force. It comes from alignment. Try this. Next time you feel resistance, don't push harder. Listen deeper. Ask, what part of me is saying no? What fear is under this block? What unmet need is being ignored? Maybe you need rest. Maybe you need play. Maybe you need truth. Whatever it is, you won't find it through guilt. You'll find it through attention. The soul whispers. It doesn't shout. And when we stop long enough to listen, we realize we were never lazy. We were just unheard. Think about this. How would you treat a friend who was exhausted, scared, confused? Would you scream at them to work? Would you shame them for not performing? Or would you sit with them, ask questions, offer kindness? You deserve the same. You are not a problem to fix. You are a person to understand. Your resistance is not your enemy. It's a messenger. It's trying to tell you, Something doesn't feel right. Something needs attention. Something is out of alignment. Honor that message. Let yourself be slow. Let yourself be quiet. Let yourself not know. Because healing doesn't follow a schedule. Growth doesn't come on demand. And your soul will not move until it feels safe. Jung once said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." But that pain doesn't need to be punishment. It can be permission. Permission to pause, to question, to soften. You don't have to keep pushing. You can choose to listen. You can choose to trust that even in your stillness, you are becoming. Even in your pause, you are moving towards something real. Not because you forced it, but because you finally made space for it. So next time you feel stuck, remember this. It's not your effort that's broken. It's your relationship to meaning. The soul doesn't respond to pressure, but it always responds to truth. And your truth is waiting for you to hear it. You wake up tired. Even after 8 hours of sleep, you sit at your desk, but your chest feels tight. You try to focus, but your stomach aches. You keep telling yourself, just push through, just do it. But your body is not listening, because your body has something to say. Carl Jung believed, the psyche speaks through the body. What the mind ignores, the body remembers. What you repress, the body expresses. When your soul is in crisis, it doesn't always show up as a breakdown. Sometimes, it shows up as back pain, fatigue, headaches, insomnia, chronic tension. Not because you're weak, but because you're carrying something too heavy, something invisible, but very real. Jung said, "We don't become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." And sometimes, that darkness lives in our muscles, in our jaw, in our gut. Think about it. How do you feel when you're anxious? Your shoulders rise, your breath shortens, your hands sweat. That's your body, screaming what your words won't say. We often ignore it. Pop a pill, drink more coffee, push harder. But the body doesn't forget, and it doesn't lie. Your body is the most honest part of you. So if your energy is gone, if your body feels like it's resisting everything, maybe it's not laziness, maybe it's grief, maybe it's disappointment, maybe it's fear, maybe your body is holding on to stories you haven't allowed yourself to tell. Maria was a dancer, strong, disciplined, always in control. But one day, her knees gave out. No injury, no explanation, just pain. Persistent. Doctors found nothing. Scans were clean, but her body was loud. Something inside had broken. Not her bones, but her sense of meaning. She had danced for applause, for perfection, for her parents' pride, never for herself. Her body finally said no, not to movement, but to performance. When she stopped dancing for others and started dancing for her, her pain began to fade, not instantly, but gradually, because healing isn't just physical, it's spiritual. You can't fix the body without listening to the soul, and your body is your soul's last language. If your mind won't slow down, your body will slow you. If your heart won't speak, your body will ache. If your truth is buried, your body will dig it up, with fatigue, with burnout, with illness. So next time your body says, "I can't, I don't want to, I need rest," listen, not with judgment, but with curiosity. What am I holding in my chest? What am I clenching in my fists? What am I running from in my legs? Where do I feel stuck? And what emotion lives there? Don't try to fix it. Feel it. Place your hand on the ache and say, "I hear you. I'm here." This is not weakness. This is intelligence. Your body is wise and knows the way, even when your mind doesn't. So slow down, breathe deep, move gently, not to escape, but to come home, because healing starts when you stop punishing the body and start partnering with it. You are not lazy, you are listening. And finally, your body feels heard. You wake up, and the first thing you feel is dread. Not tired, not lazy, but empty. You open your laptop, scroll through your calendar, back-to-back meetings, That message is, you do everything right. You're responsible. You're productive. You're dependable. But deep down, you're disconnected. You work, but you don't feel alive. And slowly, you start to ask, is this it? Is this all I'm here for? Carl Jung said, the greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parent. But what about the unlived life within ourselves? What about the version of you that wanted to be a writer, teacher, a musician, an explorer? Where did that part of you go? You traded it for security, for structure, for being realistic. You got the job, the title, the degree, but you lost the voice, the one that used to whisper, maybe there's something more. You don't hate your life. You just don't recognize yourself in it anymore. This isn't a crisis of motivation. It's a crisis of meaning. And Jung believed we can't truly live until we align with our deeper purpose. Not what pays the bills, but what feeds the soul. Your true work is not just what you do for money, it's what you do for meaning. Alignment doesn't mean quitting your job tomorrow. It means reconnecting with the why behind what you do. It means asking, what matters to me? What lights me up? What would I still do? Even if no one paid me. Start there. Because when you're in alignment, work doesn't drain you. It energizes you. Not because it's easy, but because it's real. Purpose isn't found in grand gestures. It's revealed in small decisions. Every time you say no to what depletes you, and yes to what expands you, you realign. Every time you listen to your gut, instead of the expectations, you realign. You don't need a 5-year plan. You need a 5-minute moment of honesty. What am I doing? Who am I doing it for? And who am I becoming because of it? Sarah worked in finance. Good job. Great salary. But every Sunday night, she felt sick. Not because she couldn't handle the pressure, but because she couldn't handle the emptiness. Then one day, she admitted, I don't want this life. She didn't burn it all down. She started small. She signed up for a weekend painting class. She created an Instagram for her art. She allowed herself to be more than her LinkedIn profile. 5 years later, she still works in finance, but now she also exhibits in local galleries. She's no longer split in two. She's whole. That's alignment, not quitting, but integrating, not escaping, but evolving. Your soul doesn't want you to abandon responsibility. It just wants you to take responsibility for your own fulfillment. You can't pour from a disconnected cup. You can't inspire others when you're uninspired yourself. The real work isn't in doing more. It's in remembering who you are. You were never meant to be a machine. You were meant to be a messenger of something deeper. So pause. Ask yourself, what does my soul long for? Not what's trending, not what looks good on paper, but what feels true. Even if it scares me, real work begins with real alignment. And alignment starts with listening, not to the noise, but to the quiet truth you've been avoiding. You're not unmotivated. You're not lazy. You're just finally ready to live from the inside out. And that is not weakness. That's awakening.